Have.
Oh, thank you, Marty. So no public hearings tonight. Um, I'll go over some on the development or director's report. We'll kind of talk about what's stacking up. Um, Briefly on the planning commission matters, EOA. So that update, like we had the meeting on the 14th, I think it was of no,
April.
April 28th. That's right. It got moved. April 28th. We did went before the council. Council left the hearing open. We're going to do it next week is the continuation of that hearing. So we've been basically putting together kind of responses to the comments we got at that meeting, and hopefully that'll satisfy the council, and we'll move forward with that. Um, Tosh has been putting together a massive packet of information our attorneys say we have to have. It's actually becoming a little ridiculous how much stuff there is to do something fairly simple. So, but that's where we're at with the EOA. So next week we'll kind of hopefully move on from that and get the ordinance set up so we can actually move forward and do something else. That's taken up a lot of time. The other thing, the housing capacity analysis, we did ours back in 2019. It's on an 8-year cycle. Our 8th year is coming up, so we started that process. 3J is our consultant. The state provides the consultant in this case. So we did our kickoff meeting, and I'm compiling all the information they need for that. I think I mentioned this before. The planning commission will be the advisory committee. I think there'll probably be 3 or 4 meetings where they kind of present their findings on the housing capacity, contextualized housing need, and readiness of our, basically development ready lands. Those are the 3 components that they're working on. So there'll be it's mostly data driven type stuff, but there'll be some probably subjective nature of, is this ready? Is this not? What kind of rules are in place? And does this property look like it'll develop in the next 20 years or not? That kind of stuff. So we'll see what they come up with on that. So those things will be happening throughout the summer and into next year. And then the land use audit, there's what I need to do is update the code for a lot of the housing changes, which they just had another batch again in their short session. Um, I was hoping to get that funded through DLCD. That didn't happen. The HAPO office, which is the housing capacity office, that newly created office, is saying they're going to kick out grants for that. So I'm hoping that comes around and we can apply for that and do a code update for all the housing stuff. It's normally I would do this myself, but there's so many different changes. I'm not even sure what the rules are or the process I need to follow. So that's why I wanted to kind of hand it off, let them mull it over and then bring it back and have to integrate it into our code because it really messes with how our code is built. And so it has all these knock-on effects that change the rest of how the code works, and it kind of breaks it. So those 3 things I'm kind of working on long range planning. Um, and then the point number 2 on the agenda, the potential for zone changes in the EOA. So once that EOA passes, just wanted to bring this up so you guys are aware. I mean, we've talked about it before, but these 3 properties here, and this is the county here, I'll put her on the county zoning too, basically have these 2, Roden, so Porphyries, Roden, and Crawfords, that in the EOA are looking at saying these shouldn't be industrial anymore. We need to move them to something other than industrial, is what it actually says, most likely residential, with maybe a commercial buffer down here. The biggest question I have on this one, and something to think about when we go through this, is all this in the county right now is light industrial. For some reason, our comp plan has it as heavy. My thought would be to actually change some of this lower lying stuff to what it is in the county and make it light, just so there's some type of buffer between them and the houses above, and do something with Butcher Boys and um, what's the guy's name? Giovannini. because they'll be right against those homes, especially Butcher Boys. They could operate as they are, but I don't want to end up with another wood grain situation. I'm really trying to think about how that will come together because
Is this
they're going to ask for
city
it.
limits or is this in the county?
So it's a combination. That's why I had to turn on both zones. This is currently in city limits. Where's my UGB? But it's all inside the urban growth boundary. So our comp plan looks like this. It's all heavy over here. So theoretically, when they annex, they're supposed to go to heavy industrial. That's just what it was when it was in 2007 when they created it. But the county has always had it as light. Not really sure. So that's going to be part of the discussions when they come to us and say, "Hey, what should we zone this?" We're going to have to get some buy-in from these other properties and see how we want to buffer that stuff.
We were like that you're right there.
Over here's heavy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's zoned heavy in the county, zoned heavy in the city, and heavy on the comp plan. I guess that makes sense because that's the side the rail's on, whereas the other side isn't. Then of course you're surrounded by EFU going further out, but this one, I don't know. I struggle to leave it as at least we got to go to light or something like that so we don't have a huge conflict in the future. We are dealing with the hemp smell from this section that's going to come up on the next council meeting as well. So if you have anybody that you know, I actually would like to hear if they're still having an issue because we've been working with that company for a while on reducing the smell that's emanating from the facility. Yeah. So in the last 2 weeks, I've really noticed a huge reduction. I don't live in Stone Ridge. I live up in North Ridge, so I never smell it at my house, but it's like around these areas. I get people up here say they can smell it, Cross and Polish. So it'll be interesting to know from someone else's perspective. And I have city employees that tell me, but the last 2 weeks, it's pretty much been diminished in my view. So hopefully we solve that problem, but they're going to come to city council and kind of discuss what their process is and what they're doing to mitigate and all those types of things. So we'll see where it goes from there. But that's kind of the same situation we have. You have this heavy industrial just backing up to homes, and we don't want to create that over here. But by changing these to residential, you're kind of creating it on the other side. The difference is there's a grade separation there that really helps. But that I expect that kind of application to come in at some point after the EOA is complete. If the city doesn't initiate it themselves, ourselves, I guess I should say. So any questions on that briefly? You can think about it as we go forward. And there's basically, they want to build houses here. I know that they've asked for it. Rodents are kind of backing off, waiting to see what happens. Not sure where Crawford's at. And then these guys want to build here. So it's
So these guys being,
well, them. So LLC, it's a company that bought it not too long, a few years ago.
quite some time ago.
No, they have sold since.
Oh,
Yeah, this is probably maybe a year ago, a little over a year ago. They bought it again. So
Changing those two on the far left, changing it from heavy to light, does it affect what they're doing on that property?
no, Butcher Boys is technically a heavy use, but as long as the use is there, it can remain. Usually when you change zones, that's what happens. My thought would be, if I'm D who owns the property, I'd almost want to just go ahead and change me to residential. We'd stub out a street, and then when they're done with Butcher Boys, they can just build it. So right now the plan has a street stubbed out into the property. Otherwise they'd be landlocked. They have to come up from down here, which I don't believe they actually have an easement for. I think it's just a historic road going over Stafford's property. I keep wanting to say that, Giovannini as well, and then these two homes here. So it's kind of makes sense. And then whatever happens on this EFU ground, that will already be established. So I'll have some idea of what happens when you expand the UGB eventually down here at some point in the future. But worst case scenario, we just make it light, and that way, when that use goes away, it doesn't go into something that can create too much of a conflict. So those will be questions we have to ask, I guess, as we go through it. But it might come to a situation where we have to propose something. And then that'll be where you guys come in and say, well, this is what we think is the best solution. So that's what I had for 2. Did you commission have anything that they wanted to discuss?
The utility work on the grade and on O'Neill.
That's fiber. Probably the 3rd fiber outfit putting fiber through town. They bore everything, and I mean, this is something usually like Zayo, I think, came through that. I mean, there's stuff that's coming all the way from Idaho and coming through, and these are large kind of backbone fiber lines.
Not sure exactly where, but Prime Time is putting in fiber somewhere.
Prime Time has been putting in fiber all over town. As these developments go in, they jump on board and put conduit in the ground because they're expanding that fiber network to all the new developments. So that's nice, but that's not them on the grade. Yeah, they've been trying to get everywhere. The apartments, all the subdivisions that come in new are trying to get fiber in the ground because otherwise they were all on microwave or they were on poles aerial.
Right.
Which doesn't exist. Like in my neighborhood, we don't have conduit and we don't have poles. So there's just no way to do it. You have to either trench it in or bore it, or we use microwave.
So microwave the dish.
Yeah. So that they have, this site appears is prime time.
Is that continuing with Prime Time now being part of another company?
Did they get bought?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I heard that this last week.
I'll have to check with them. It is. They own this. This is part of their asset. It says Julius Cellular because they lease to
I
them.
just wasn't sure if they were gonna continue doing that service with the new.
I don't know.
I heard they sold to somebody last week.
Oh, that's interesting. I'll have to call them. Because they own this site and they are, US Cellular has always leased that facility.
Which is part of T-Mobile.
US Cellular is T-Mobile. Wow, you guys are up to speed. I don't track my telecommunication companies very well.
I'm gonna know when clients wanna know what's available in the areas.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I have T-Mobile, so that's why I know.
there you go.
Right.
Anything else, commission you seeing out there that you have questions on or comments? No?
No, it looks like those projects, they're making progress on the apartments out across from, on Madras Highway. And also at the hospital, by the hospital.
Yep. I can get into project updates if you want. We're ready? Okay,
Sure, let's make this quick.
make it quick. So, oh, I'm not sharing? Yeah, share. Sorry. Okay. This is why I don't do it.
Anybody online who cares?
No, but it's good for the recording. There we go. This is why I make them do it.
Say you did share it.
Yeah.
Even if nobody was there.
They can watch it later. Okay, on the housing side of things, Priscilla, you're right. The apartments here actually, we actually have new imagery coming through Eagle View that we'll get onto the GIS pretty soon for this year. But these guys, they have some issues with fire pumps and stuff, but they're trying to get open in June, at least with 2 of their buildings in the back. And then they'll slowly move forward. So by the by fall, I would expect, or at least by the end of this year, that I expect all those buildings to be open and rented.
Was there ever a decision made on access to for the school kids?
So that has come up multiple times. This, if you recall, when we went through it, we were trying to get them to have a crossing, and ODOT was like, you can't cross there. We have to do all these other things. So we made them do the crossing study to show how they would do it, but they couldn't require it because it wasn't our facility. So it was kind of one of those. So that was their requirement, was to do the actual study. They did it. They turned it in. They said, this is how you would do it. Basically, you put a crossing island down here, and at some point in the future, we can do this. We also kind of got it on the ODOT's plan, per se, so it could be a project that they pursue. I did get a call from ODOT a couple weeks ago to potentially do that with some other crossing projects, but this one didn't rise to that elevation. So I'd like to see that eventually. I think once the apartments get built, it'll bring that up, because people are going to try to cross there, and
Sure.
they're not going to walk up here and cross over and back. It'll become pretty obvious that it's a need, and hopefully we can get them to fund it at that point.
I have a concern about getting too many islands in the middle of the streets. I understand that it's supposed to be a place for foot traffic to hide, but it just creates other issues as well.
Yeah, that's how ODOT seems to be building most of their crossings on the highway in town. So they've been doing, where's knowledge? Right here. Well, this is significant. That's not really what they're doing. This kind of thing.
Yeah.
This is what they'd be looking at. To have that island refuge for the crossing, but then still allow your turn lane to those left-hand turns would still be there. I don't particularly like sometimes if it blocks the right-hand turn. So you have to build them so that you don't lose that turning movement, because if you lose that turning movement, then the buses are going to have.
I think if they put one there, you're gonna lose turning from one side.
So you have to do a different turn pocket. So I'm not sure how they want to design that, but I wouldn't want to lose one of those movements like we did on Knowledge. Knowledge was done on purpose because we just had too many issues with people trying to turn left, but
Yeah.
So
The other thing with the kids crossing there at Combs Flat, once they cross, they're on school property, but it's just a road. There's no sidewalk or anything for kids.
no, and I worked that out with Leland when they were going through this. Leland was like, you get a crossing, I'll build the rest of it. We'll put it in so that they would do their side, but without the crossing, there's no point. So that was all worked out. It's just we couldn't get agreement on doing the crossing. So hopefully with their next phase, that will become more prominent. We'll see. We'll have better knowledge of how that's working. And then the Madras Highway project, that's kicked up a little faster. They're way behind though. They're not going to be nearly as quick as they won't finish this year. I don't think they might open a building or two, but I don't think they'll finish by the end of the year. Especially even with their first phase, and then they have their second phase here. They're having a lot of groundwater issues.
Oh, really?
Is what's slowing them down. Not anymore, but back then it really caused them some problems with that high water.
I'm on the other side of the creek, but my pigs can dig down the water.
Oh yeah, no, it's right there. I mean, you're basically, you've got Ochico Creek and Crooked River all right there, and it's where it used to move through, so it's pretty shallow. That's one of their main issues they have. Thistle and Nest is pretty much almost all finished. The Heart of Oregon project, I think, is still working on it, but those are mostly done, and some of them have sold. Thistle and Nest
Oh, yeah.
at Pine Raised.
Yeah.
There's a few left to finish, but they have sold already a few of those. We did Brett Morgan's subdivision. He hasn't started that yet, obviously, but that one has gone through this housing project is moving forward. You can see all the houses going up there. Monte Vista is doing those. And I think Kevin Vaughn has a few builds in there as well. The project to get polished to sell to Lennar has moved forward. I expect them to start moving on phase 6 sometime this year, this late summer, as they do their transition. Hopefully that neighborhood stays relatively intact with the transition, but that's what the whole goal was with organizing those new CCNRs. The 3 projects that are kind of coming up, and I guess really 4, are the rooted home projects, which we talked about. That's this project here. This is 24, kind of like Thistle and Nest, but it'll be more of a townhome style with garages. I'm expecting that project at some point to come in. They have some, their infrastructure they're still trying to work out. This is one of the projects we put the water and sewer in for. So then it's more of kind of how the roads work, the drainage works, all that kind of stuff they're still working out. But I expect that project to come in this year. That's 24 homes. There's a potential subdivision up in here north of Barnes Butte. There is this subdivision here, the Smith Landing one. They actually did submit something, but it's not quite ready. The big sticking issue on this one, of course, has always been Peters Road extension and whether it goes down below, or up above. And that's the crux of it. And we're kind of in a situation where we're not sure what the legalities of, can the city just choose? Can they dictate? Can we dictate? How does this work when you have a road that you need to get from this point to this point? This side's we kind of are all on board with. We know how to get it up the hill and to this point, but we don't know whether to go this way or this way. Smith Landing doesn't want to go across the top because it takes out flat ground, right? But if we bring the road down here, who builds it? They don't want to build it because it doesn't serve their development. So then we're in this kind of back and forth. We also have the roundabout or here that that intersection needs to be improved. So how does that play into everything? So we still have some work to be done on that, but their basic layout is what they want is kind of set into like 182 lots, smaller, 5,000 to 6,000 square feet type thing. And then that will hopefully blend into these other properties and go back to that zone change issue that we'll have to do to then work from the other side. So all these projects are kind of mulling around, and you watch they'll all come in at the same time. It'll be kind of a mess. On the commercial side, not a whole lot going on. Really, commercial is pretty close to just being dead. The Horseshoe revamped, the tap house that on the 2nd Street finally opened. Those were the kind of last 2 projects that we had going. On the grade, it's just all industrial, smaller builds right now. I'm going to have an application for this lot, and Grocery Bandit wants to expand their project. So those are 2. I guess Grocery Bandit would be commercial. If they turn theirs in, they want to expand their site. So
I also heard Roosters was doing a grand opening, I want to say this weekend, maybe.
they're doing an official grand opening.
Yeah, family friendly with music and things like that.
The Rooster.
Rooster.
Oh,
I didn't know that. I thought they already did it.
And they're open, but they said they wanted to have an event.
That's one down to why.
No, that's the Crooked River Tap House. This is the one up on top of the hill across from Facebook or Meta.
what did Best Care ever decide to do with their property?
They haven't. I'm not sure what they're gonna do.
Best
So
Care-
this was that small little housing thing with the tiny home issue, that we basically said, no, it's inappropriate to do it there. They appealed. Council ended up having to approve it based on some legality and the fear of having to pay a bunch of attorney fees if we kept fighting it. And then there was kind of this indication that they decided okay, we just won't do it anyway. You know, because the community doesn't want it, kind of a thing. But now they're stuck in a situation where they don't know what to do with the property because it was bought by the state for that purpose. So now they have to somehow refund that. So I'm not sure where that's going to end up. I'm kind of out of the loop a little bit in that. I know they would prefer someone just to buy it. For what purpose, I don't know.
There been any conversation about changing the intersection or 9%?
Changing it how?
Well, right now, when they come to the end of that road, they're pulling all the way out past that.
Yeah,
line.
because people can't
Because
see
they
across.
Because can't see.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And more often than not, if there's somebody there turning towards the grade when I'm coming into town Madras Highway, they turn in front of me before I, like when I'm car length or two away, they just turn in front of me to get out of the turn lane so I can make the turn.
It's not, I don't think there's anything there. It's these, possibly those trees. You know, if you go down. Yeah, it's this.
That is the
It-
other side.
but it's the other side, when you're trying
It's
to
the other
turn
side,
right.
because when you're turning
That's
there,
what
you
you
can't
can't
see
see.
anybody coming.
No, yeah, you pull way out here and then this guy's trying to turn in.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I understand.
More often than not, anybody pulling up that is a full car length past that white line before they stop.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And the other thing is, if you pull up in a car and there's a pickup next to you, you can't see left. You just have to wait for them to go and pray they're right and hang a right.
Yeah, this, I suppose this could be a clear vision project that Public Works could work on to get, basically trim these back.
I just didn't know if it come up before. If
It-
there's any
It's not seriously, no. People,
I agree, it's a big deal for the trucks too, because the trucks are having to pull out there as well. It's not something we can see over top of. So when they trim them up, obviously we're gonna trim it for cars because there's more cars than trucks, but it needs to be tall enough of a trim for everybody to be able to see.
just
Yes.
especially as it's getting closer to summer, people are getting less patient there. And
Yep.
I came up on a couple accidents
And
where
these-
people weren't waiting and they ended up,
honestly, these are probably volunteer elms.
Yeah.
yeah, they're not ones that are,
So you may just go in there and just knock it out. I don't know who owns that property, but is that?
it's part of that.
No, it's a trust. Okay. So yeah, I can talk to Justin about that and see.
No.
He,
Is it?
yeah,
Oh, yeah, it is. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you mean the junks,
You
the
know,
hoarder's
one
place.
person's junk is another person's antique. So-
Yeah, well,
Treasure.
I think Miles is a hoarder.
so we have that. I can talk to Justin.
I was just curious.
See what-
It's not, I mean, I know it's.
We
not-
have these little clear vision issues all over town and they pop up and we have to work on them. It's
I was just thinking as we're with that apartment complex going up there, that.
potential for those less. Yeah.
A lot of the clear vision issues at corners is that people park too close to. the
Yeah.
Yep.
And they
Especially in
can't-
the
and
in
you
the
can't
downtown.
see. You have to pull out to see around them. By then, you're halfway out to the intersection.
That,
The other part of this particular intersection too is there's a lot of discussion about wanting to make this a truck route. And so if you're gonna make this a truck route for us to come out of 9th and get on 26th, then we're nosed out there into the
Yeah.
bike lane.
theoretically,
Your
it
trucks here,
it-
it's making the
yeah.
left turn coming in. Your trailer's gonna take the hood off if somebody doesn't wait.
Yep. And theoretically, it is the truck route. It just doesn't actually function very well because it doesn't go anywhere past Main. So ideally, it'll eventually come up in the 10th Street intersection. Because I really don't think we'll ever go through like the old 2005
Yeah.
plans.
Would you go through the middle of Wagner?
The old Duckett place looks like it's for sale.
I know it's been sold several times. I'm like, we should just. I actually asked once, but they wanted it's like 1.2 million or something. It's hard to spend that kind of money on something that you won't happen for so many years. But this block would probably be get wiped out. But we have to bring it up into something. So maybe it's actually this block or both of them. And there's another intersection that combines Lamonta. I'm not sure how that's ever gonna work out. But we need to somehow get people up into here, and then 9th Street and Lamonta and Main become our truck routes.
I'm not sure who laid that all out originally, but
Yeah.
it's a mess.
The rail did, most likely. So, and then eventually this will extend down and out. And that's the 9th Street extension, which may become the 10th Street. I don't know. We'll have to call it something else if it swoops up like that, but yeah, all those kinds of traffic issues are just hard to solve and expensive to solve.
Well, and they're just, back when those roads were put in, there wasn't traffic clearance.
Well, yeah, 9th Street was done there for a long time and it was intended to go through and of course that was just not feasible. And this is where one of our biggest traffic jams is happening, is those left turns. That's one of our worst. That and 7th.
7th left turn is worse
Well, actually, Ninth and Main, there should be no left turn lane.
Yeah, you just shouldn't do it.
But,
That's,
I mean, really, truly,
yeah.
can it not just be marked that way?
well, I brought that up before.
Redirect traffic. Make
You
it
guys
have to
would
go
know
there.
So 7th, you could probably do it. They just have to know to jog up and over. That's like what I do when I go home is I come down 9th and I jog up and over.
Yeah,
I don't even try to do that. Most people who live north of town know to do that.
right.
It's the others that don't.
Well, it's the, yeah.
Yeah, I kind of advocated for that. No, especially on 7th, just no left on 7th. No, if no one's there, go ahead and take your left. No one's gonna care. But for the most part, it helps with people that sit there with 5 cars stacked behind them to look at a sign that says, "Dude, don't go left."
o'clock in the afternoon when
Right.
school's getting out.
Well, yeah.
Just
And if
just
you're
turn
or
right.
you're at Gills trying to get out. because
Yeah, so it shames you into
Yeah.
not doing it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the benefit because a sign is only good as those who enforce it or pay attention to it. So
obey the rules.
9th and 7th. All right. Other than that, public works projects, we are finishing up Main Street. We will do the North Main after Roundup. So we're gonna finish that side. We are also have a grant out to redo the water line in Loper. Those are kind of our big projects at this point.
North Bay.
North Main, so we're doing all of South Main now. That basically up to the bridge,
Water lines.
the pavement on North Main. We're gonna redo the pavement, I think up to the bridge.
So speaking of Ninth, there's some stuff going across it to the north. What?
9th to the north.
Yeah.
No, across, there's something cutting across Ninth Street headed north. Is that, are those water lines? Are those sewer lines?
Oh. That's well, we have a water project there and there's a gas line project in this area.
Yeah,
The Fairmont area. Yeah, we've been doing a lot of water projects over there. Those are small replacements of 8-inch water lines. And then there's a gas line that they're replacing all down Lamonta.
There's a couple spots on 9th right now where there's still gravel holes that.
yeah, there's, yeah,
They haven't finished up the project.
Yeah, it's not done.
yeah, we know.
It's not done. We don't want to leave it like that. So those are it's all around this kind of area. All these water lines are getting replaced. We actually found some more wooden water line.
I know there was one,
Yeah.
at 9th and Deer, they had a fountain there for a day when they were, and then they dug up the yard and the house right up next to the intersection to fix it. So.
Yeah,
You found more wooden water lines.
we did. We thought we had it all. And we found some. So other than that, I can't
able
think of
to-
much more.
Do them from the top, or they don't find them until they get down into the wood.
You can, well, we do a project and then we go dig it up and we're like, oh, we thought that was,
Okay, that's what I'm asking. Do you know before you start digging, or do you find it when you dig it out?
we find it.
Okay.
We mapped everything. I think Jerry and I actually went out and mapped most everything, but a lot of this was based on his memory on what was in the ground. So sometimes we put, PVC where there's wooden, or we have all these different lines, and it was a guess for the most part. He's actually pretty accurate, but sometimes you just got the wrong stuff. Most of the time we just leave it in the ground anyway, and we just go right next to it. And we just put the pipe right next to the old one. So it doesn't really matter one way or the other. As long as we know what we're connecting to, it works out.
Other than the housing projects and the different subdivisions, are you seeing any activity with individual housing permits, applications and things?
The only single family applications we're getting are these Monte Vista ones right now.
But no, individual wise, there's nothing going.
The individual builder, Kevin Vaughn, has 2 builds in that subdivision. I think Brett has 1 or 2 going. That's
But there's no infill or anything like that going on.
a lot. A couple manufactured homes, I think, maybe went in. It's pretty limited compared to what we've had in the past. We'll still do, say, 40 homes this year, but they're mostly the companies, the single companies knocking them out instead of the custom builds that you were seeing before in Iron Horse. So, yeah.
We were talking about the water, right in front of my house is still open irrigation
Yep.
ditch. Is there any talk of, we're talking about enclosing that and pressurizing that and?
I haven't heard from OID whether that's still a project. Are you still on the board, Ron? You weren't on the OID board? Why did I think that?
I've gone in there a couple times and said, oh, it's a Brian problem or a Brian question. They leave a message, no reply, so,
like
Where you at?
Terrace.
You're on Terrace up there, that irrigation ditch?
yeah, this one up here. Bruce problem, like a Bruce Scanlon.
Like Brian Barney.
Oh, why would Brian Barney be involved in that?
City, yeah. Yeah.
This is in the county still, but it's an OID line. They have a pipe that runs through here. And I know there's an open ditch, kind of like you're saying, they're along here, but I haven't heard anything about changing it. That would be strictly OID and county roads. Yeah. We don't really have much say.
Ours, they told me if I wanted it closed along my property, I had to pay for it.
I imagine if you wanted to do it, that's what they would say. It's kind of like the power
But
company.
they
You know?
didn't have any problem coming along and spraying all my flowers and everything along my side of the ditch and killing all my wife's gardens.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Brian said Bruce would be the one to actually talk to. Bruce Scanlon is the director of OID, who would know. So I'm quite sure, unsure why Brian would be brought up.
I don't know. That was the comment I got a couple of years ago, so.
Well, since he's not gonna be a county commissioner anymore, maybe you can start with whoever's elected.
Better be quick.
Well,
Got
unless it's
Sean.
unless it's not a OID easement and it's just in the county right away,
Let's,
and that's why the county's involved,
I think that's all part of that subdivision when it was subdivided.
right? I think there are easements there. Yeah.
Irrigation rights belong to the subdivision and everybody gets a portion of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very similar to how Saddle Ridge works. They all have irrigation rights up there. Comes out of that
all there
pump station.
underground.
About 50 or 60 years difference in bill.
Yeah.
And so their next meeting kind of comes up quick because it's the way the days worked out, June 16th. We could have a public hearing. It would have to come in the next week. If not, we'll kind of do another update and we'll probably have something for July, is my guess.
Okay.
Any other questions for the good of the order?
I asked all mine.
Okay. All right, I guess that's all we got.
Did I ask all my questions?
Oh,
Move to adjourn.
okay, we're ready to adjourn? Okay, well, all's in favor then,
Stand up.
we're adjourned.
Thank you, Marty.
Back out the door.